Hello, I'm Catherine Sines, the president of the Rotary Club of Hudson. Rotary is a professional organization of a group of men and women who support Rotary International. We also join together by a common interest of service to our Hudson community, and we have a sincere desire to give back. We meet weekly on Wednesdays at Laurel Lake Retirement Community, 200 Laurel Lake Drive, in their dining room. We meet from 7:30 to 8:30 and would like to invite you to join us. For more information about Rotary, go to www.rotaryhudson.org. Enjoy the following excerpts from one of our recent meetings and consider joining us on Wednesday morning.
Good morning, Rotarians and guests. Good morning. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Hudson. Ron Strobel, the Sergeant at Arms. Our invocation this morning is by Jim Young. Good morning, Rotarians.
Good morning.
Beautiful morning. Let us pray. Dear Lord, we are grateful for the privilege of offering ourselves for service. Give us open minds, a clear understanding, and a steady purpose to make the most of our talents, and lead us to fields of work where we can best serve you. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Jim. And to lead us in the pledge and the four-way test this morning, Matt LaFountain.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Matt.
You could join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And then the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First,
Is it the truth?
second,
Fair to all concerned.
third,
Will build goodwill and better friendships.
and fourth.
Will be beneficial to all concerned.
Lead us in song, Chris Parker.
James Field came up with a great song for us to sing today. This land is your land.
I only did the one verse, so there's like hundreds of verses in there.
1, 2, 3.
This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I was walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. Yeah.
There's like wavy.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning,
Good to see so many smiling faces. Next, Chris is going to introduce our guests.
You're exactly right.
Yes, good morning again, Rotarians. We have one guest with us today. And if she would please stand so we can give her a warm Rotary welcome. So Ralph Day has brought along his daughter, Karen Miapa. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Ralph, I love that. I don't think we ever put the interference. He touched her and it went like this. Like, I don't think we ever stopped the interference. First thing this morning, Kathy would like to have an announcement. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Rotarians.
Good morning.
You may recall a couple of weeks ago we had a wonderful presentation by the Salvation Army and how they modified their mission for the world, involving interacting with kids from 18 months to 18 years to try to break the cycle of poverty. They have offered us the opportunity to tour their STEM hydroponic farm in southern Akron. I've been. It's well worth the trip, and I'd like to organize the next tour. If anyone is interested, please get in touch with me. I've been in contact with them, and I'll organize a tour for us if you're interested in going. I would highly recommend it if you want a glimpse of the future to see this hydroponic farm operation, which is what they use in their STEM operations to teach kids about technology and so forth. So it's a great opportunity to see the future. So if you're interested in going, get in touch with me and I'll organize the next tour in the next week or so. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. I've heard a couple people told me that they went, that it was really worth the trip. Thanks for offering to do the tour. Next, James Phil would like to talk a little bit about Relay for Life. I got my t-shirts this morning. Thank you.
Good morning, Rotarians. Good morning. So first the quiz. When does the Relay for Life Stowe Hudson Monroe Falls take place?
The ninth.
Night. From what time to what time?
9 to 9, 10 to 10.
Very good. So 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. I'll have 8 tents set up. If anyone knows where the official Rotary tent is, we'll take that as well. But thanks, Evan, for loaning us a tent for that. I have other commitments during the day, so I'm going to be kind of in and out. So if you're there and I'm not there, just enjoy it. It's at the Stowe Retirement Village, really neat place. They've offered it. I think it's the third year in a row that they've offered it there. It's not like a full circle. It's more like an L that you walk, but a very high energy event, a lot of booths, and everything is all in terms of education on cancer, on preventing it, on treating it, and then all the fundraising goes to the American Cancer Society for all those various elements. And as I've said before, and I think we all know that we've all either personally faced cancer or have family or friends who have. And so the hope of this event is someday to never need the event again. Now, part of the event in the evening, they have what's called a luminaria. And these are these bags that they put lights in, and then the bags have, on the front of it, will either say, in memory of or in honor of someone who's maybe survived cancer, or in memory of someone who may have succumbed to cancer. So Dan every year puts bags, and I put in for my mother who passed away and my mother-in-law who survived cancer. So I do have sheets. They asked for a $10 donation for the luminaria. And I have the official sheet, which Dan filled out, but also this sheet where you can put your name and then who it's in memory or honor of. So I'll have that at the back. Or I'll put that. Should I put the front table? Okay, I'll have it at a table with a pen. So if you want to do that, and they will be taking donations through the full month, even past the event. But anyway, also I did send out. You can sign up online. You don't even have to donate to sign up. So if you can get people to sign up, that would be fantastic. Thank you very much.
And you get this great t-shirt.
Oh, and you'll get a t-shirt. There we go. Thank you.
One of the things that we need to talk about this morning is the fact that we've been talking about storage, and we have to move out of where our storage is right now, which we have the stuff from the Relay for Life, the stuff from Sandra on the Green, supplies and stuff, and things for the gala. So we've been talking about it and discussing it, and we've come up with a solution that we now have a rental storage unit. That we had one for the bikes, but we're also going to store other stuff. So we need to move that stuff this Saturday. I need 2 volunteers. If you would help Ron and I've got my husband's truck, and I have Bob, and he's going to come and help us too. But we need 2 more people to volunteer, so we need some muscle. If someone would volunteer, tell Ron, let us know. And it's 9:30 Saturday morning. And we're going to move the stuff out of Howard Hanna into the storage unit. And the storage unit is in Hudson too, so it's not like it's going to take long. Maybe an hour at the most, Ron? So an hour of your time, 9:30 on Saturday morning, we need 2 volunteers.
And when you're done, you can just head over Route 91 down the Graham Road and stop on over by the
You already have. So if you would, that would be greatly appreciated.
Nice try.
And then if anyone knows that, again, I would tell you that the canopy or the tent for the Rotary. I don't know if it got misplaced. I want to think that it just somebody picked it up and didn't bring it back. If you do, that's something else we're trying to find. And that's one of the reasons for the storage. Where it's at now, all that stuff needs to be moved. We are thankful for Howard Hanna for giving us free rental for as long as we did, but we need to get it and take it care of and put our stuff where it's secure. So, anyone else have any announcements before I turn it over to George? George, would you like to come up and introduce our speaker? Thank you.
Thanks, Catherine. Good morning, Rotarians. Good morning. Hello to our guests. This month we will conclude the Rotary year with a series of presentations on a somewhat lighter topic than normal, which is summer fun in our own backyard. As part of that theme next week, Jenny Bassarelli, who is the Chief Interpretation Officer for Cuyahoga Valley National Park, we'll talk about attractions that are in the park and off the beaten track. In 2 weeks, Ross Binney, who is the Chief Brand Officer for the Cleveland Orchestra, will be here to take a look at Blossom Music Center's first 50 years. Today, we turn to Cleveland, and I am reasonably certain that there are still a few Hudsonites who believe that you need a visa to enter the city of Cleveland. Actually, the only visa you will probably need is a Visa credit card. To preview a jam-packed Cleveland summer, our guest today is Eric Embacher, who is the Visitor Experience Program Manager for Destination Cleveland. Destination Cleveland is the former Convention and Visitors Bureau. After living and working in San Diego at the University of San Diego for 9 years, Eric returned to his Northern Ohio roots in 2013 to be a part of Cleveland's renaissance and to raise a family which now includes a brand new baby girl. At Destination Cleveland, he manages destination education and visitor experience research programs. Eric also has a direct connection to Hudson, which I'm sure he'll mention in a few minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me now in giving a warm Rotary welcome to Eric Embacher.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. George mentioned some exciting things there. I know Jenny at Cuyahoga Valley National Park, so that'll be a great talk, I'm sure. And we work with the Port Cleveland Orchestra. And I know there's summer series of Blossom. If I didn't write it down, was one of the things I wanted to make sure to mention this morning, too. So. My connection to Hudson, my dad was the principal at Eastwoods Elementary for
That's where the name's
so.
Yeah.
Ted Embacher. There's
Yeah.
a little bit of a discrepancy in our family of how to say our last name. Because of the way it's spelled, a lot of people will say Embacher. And my brothers kind of led the way in just saying, we're just going to go with Embacher. So Embacher would be the traditional way to say it. My grandparents, I think, after being first-generation Americans, started saying Embacher. Now it seems we're going back to word Embacher. So anyway, that's not what I'm here to talk about. But in case you're wondering why, my dad and I have a similar sounding last name, but not the same last name. So that's why. So James is going to help me here with paging through the slides, and I'm going to take a little bit of time just briefly talk about what we do at Destination Cleveland, and then really just try to tell you though about all the exciting things there are to do in Cleveland in the summer, whether it's from traditional attractions that we're all familiar with to special events this summer and different things you want to know about. And maybe even some resources too. And actually I brought a stack of calendars that are in my car. So when I finish up, I'll run out to my car and I'll bring those. We can leave them on the table here for you to pick up on your way out. All right, so let's get started. One quick story I actually wanted to tell you, because you mentioned needing a visa to get to downtown Cleveland. And I actually took this slide out, but I want to talk about it. We did research about 6 years ago or so now that showed we wanted to get at the heart of our own community as being our best ambassadors for Cleveland and really spreading the word about what we have to offer here. Well, we found that only 33% of people in the Cleveland area would actually recommend Cleveland as a place to visit to others. We found at the time that that number was actually higher outside of Cleveland. So let's take a city like Buffalo. Maybe 40% of people in Buffalo thought Cleveland was a great place to visit. So we thought less of ourselves than other cities thought of us. A self-esteem issue, if you will. So, it seemed like our work was cut out for us when it came to creating ambassadors for our own community. And a lot of work was put into that, and not just from our organization, but a number of different community leaders in Cleveland got together programs. We started this effort toward making Cleveland a destination city. A lot of things happened. I think in 2015, by that time, we had LeBron James on the way back. They announced the Republican National Convention for Cleveland. We were seeing a lot of changes. We did that research, and that number was up to, I think it was 54%. That's a huge increase. That's fantastic. But then we had 2016. We hosted a convention. The Cavs won the championship. The Indians went to the World Series. There were a lot of different things happening, a lot of attention on Cleveland, a lot of people making a trip down to downtown Cleveland that they hadn't made in 10, 15, 20 years, and saw the exciting things happening, and we really spread the word. So we did that research again in late 2016, maybe early 2017. The number was all the way up to 77%. So from 33% to 77% in about a 5-6 year period. Unprecedented, and puts us up there with some of the top leading destination cities in the country. So we're really excited about that, really proud. But if you haven't been to downtown Cleveland in quite some time, I definitely encourage you to go, whether it's to the heart of downtown or the University Circle. There's a lot of great things to see, and I'll talk about some of those today. All right, so what we do at Destination Cleveland, we want to bring people to town. We want to bring visitors to Cleveland. We are a marketing organization at heart. We're out there saying, come to Cleveland as a family, as friends, as a association, a business association, a professional organization. Bring your meeting, your annual convention to our city. We have our new convention center downtown. Before we had that, we couldn't host large numbers of people. Now we can host a 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 person convention and bring all those people to Cleveland, fill our hotels, get them out to our restaurants, and even preview Cleveland. You know, because when you travel to a city for business, you have limited time, but you see things. You think, oh wow, I wish I had time to go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I wish I had time to go to the University Circle. So I go home and I say, hey, let's make a trip to Cleveland. And that's why the convention center is just part of a flywheel that just helps generate more and more interest and visitation to our city. So we're out there trying, and we are already making Cleveland a destination city. We hope to have 20 million visitors to Cuyahoga County by 2020. If you want to go on to the next slide, part of that goal is changing perceptions of Cleveland. Not only do we have a problem, though, with our own community's perceptions of Cleveland, but even outside of Cleveland, there's still a lot of antiquated ideas, a lot of old jokes, there's a lot of things to overcome. So we're trying to get that message out. Our marketing focuses primarily on a 5 to 6 hour drive radius. But we want to go beyond that too, and we do see people coming here from around the country and even around the world. The Rock Hall, the Cleveland Museum of Art, these are all international destinations. Cedar Point is an international destination. LeBron James is an international draw. So all these things bring people to Cleveland, and we talk a lot about the halo effect. You know, we bring people to Cleveland, they stay in the hotels, this creates jobs, it creates money, it creates opportunity, it helps grow our economy. We've actually, if you want to go on again to the next one, in 2016 we saw 18 million people visit Cuyahoga County. So there's only about 3 million people living in Cuyahoga County to begin with, so that's almost 6 times the population coming to Cleveland every year. So again, this is a much bigger factor than I think a lot of people realize in our economy. It employs nearly 65,000 people, which makes it the 4th largest employer in terms of industries in Cuyahoga County. So all these things add up to really creating a strong force and playing a really strong role in our community and economic development. And further beyond that is everybody who comes to Cleveland to move, to live, to retire, to start a business, to come to college, it starts with a visit. And that's why our role is important too. We see that as a really important driver. So that when people are here for their convention or meeting or business, they might see an opportunity. They might see an opportunity where land isn't as expensive, where they can set up a new office, they can branch out and not have as many overhead costs. There's a lot of great opportunities for that here in Cleveland too. So that's what we're doing, that's where it's going. We can go ahead and move on beyond this one because I want to get to talking about Cleveland. But that's just a little bit about what we do and what we're trying to achieve, and just so you're aware too of what Cleveland as a visitor destination means and what it looks like and the impact it has. So, summer in Cleveland. There are so many different things to see and do. We do not have time to cover them all this morning, but I will try to breeze through some of the important ones, maybe glance over some things that I guess you're probably familiar with, and maybe spend a little bit more time on some things you're not so familiar with. So that's what we'll do. First of all, though, if you do come downtown or you have visitors here and you want to show them the city, your first stop should be our Cleveland Visitor Center here at the corner of East 4th and Euclid. This is right next to the Cleveland Clothing Company. They're on East 4th Street with all the restaurants. We are open 9 to 6, Monday through Saturday. We've got brochures, rec cards, visitor guides, maps, all kinds of exciting things, people who are absolute experts on the city. They can answer any question for you and get you set up with a great visit. So I wanted to make sure you're aware that that is there. We'd love to see you. Go ahead, James. And of course, our major attractions. And keeping in mind, there's many more than that I have room for pictures of up here. But of course, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, probably our leading attraction that brings people to town. Their smallest segment of visitation is from people in our own hometown. So they'd love to see you there and check that out. They've done a lot of different things too in the last couple of years to really improve the experience. We talk about that a lot in travel tourism here, that you want to have a great experience for visitors and guests. And the Rock Hall is trying to move from just being kind of a static museum to having interactive exhibits, a lot more for you to see, a much more vibrant feel. You'll see they put up new letters in front that say "Long Live Rock," picture opportunities. They've got a new theater where you kind of experience the power of rock and roll, it's called. So a lot of exciting things going on there, and many reasons to visit again if you haven't visited in some time. The Cleveland Museum of Art is one of the leading art institutions in the country, maybe even in the world. A world-class collection there. The Infinity Mirrors exhibition is coming this summer. Unfortunately, I do know tickets are sold out for that. It is a really, really prestigious exhibition to be hosting here in Cleveland. We're the only second U.S. city. I think it just came from maybe D.C. And so that'll be a really great, I talk about feathers in our cap or jewels in our crown here for this summer for Cleveland. That'll be really exciting. University Circle and area in general is a great place to visit and to get out, especially in the summer. They have an event every Wednesday called Wade Oval Wednesday. They bring in food trucks and festival type performers, and of course you have all the museums. A really, really great atmosphere, a really great place for Clevelanders to gather throughout the summer. Cleveland Orchestra will play at Blossom Music Center, as we mentioned earlier, throughout the summer, and that's a really exciting opportunity. Another thing they do is a free concert downtown, Star Spangled Spectacular. You'll have to check the date on this for sure, but I'm pretty sure it's July 1st this year, and that'll be held on the mall area, which is actually the roof of the Cleveland Convention Center. It's a really neat way our convention center is actually built into the ground, and only rises about 20 feet above. And it's a park area on top there. It's created a really nice, grassy, little bit of an inclined space to sit out on the lawn, watch the orchestra play, and send up the fireworks. It's a beautiful event, and that is free to the community as well. Playhouse Square, continuous run of shows. Hamilton coming this summer, really exciting. We're one of the very, very few cities in the U.S. that can host a 3-week Broadway touring show. One of only 7 that can host a 2-week Broadway show, and even less that can host a 3-week show. So we have a really thriving theater community, arguably the second largest, depending on the perspective you look at it from. But they bring a lot of great people here, a lot of great shows. And people like to come to Cleveland because you don't have to deal with all the hustle and bustle of New York, the expense of New York. You get New York Broadway shows right here. And then Lake Erie. I mean, summer is when Lake Erie is thriving and people can get out on the lake, and there's more and more ways to go out there and experience it. If you haven't been to Edgewater Park, I imagine a lot of people haven't in some time. It is an extraordinarily changed space. The Cleveland Metro Parks took over the park there, the beach space, about 2 or 3 years ago. They built a new beach house. It's incredible. It's nicely landscaped, both the lower and upper part. It's just gorgeous. Great experience. They have an event there every Thursday in the summer called Edgewater Live. Now that's busy. I will tell you that right now. And if you go, you want to go early. But I might even recommend visiting Edgewater Park on a time other than a Thursday evening just to get the full experience. It's really, really beautiful. So, moving on from there, we can go on beyond that one because that's mostly just the notes of what I talk about. Sports are a large part of the summer experience too, obviously with the Cleveland Indians and the Cavs playing so far into the summer. It brings people to town, gives us all something to celebrate. A lot of changes at Progressive Field in which they're trying to enhance, again, the fan experience, get you beyond just sitting in your seat for 9 innings, get you out and about. They feature a lot of Cleveland-based eateries around the concourses now, whether it's focused on the Ohio City restaurants and bars or Tremont and just different places where you're going to get authentically Cleveland food beyond just the hot dog and our traditional ballpark mustard, which is pretty good. But then you've got some other options too. So they've done a lot there. They've got standing room tickets where you can just stand and have a beer, pay $13 to get into the park and enjoy the game. A lot of different things going on over there. We'll look forward to the Browns turnaround, hopefully.
We've all been looking forward to that.
So, But we have, again, we're the smallest city to have 3 professional sports franchises, so it's really incredible. All of these playoffs has an extraordinary economic impact on the downtown area. The NBA playoff games generate, I think, nearly $3 million in economic impact in the downtown area. So
That's per game.
per game. Well, you want to wrap it up in 4 games. The further this goes on, the better we do. So having 2 7-game series, actually, I think there were more home playoff games already this year than there have been maybe the last 2 years. Because last year we won, what, 8 of 12 or 10 of 12 on the way to the finals. So that's been an extraordinary thing for us too. And these aren't always things, we do what we do to the best of our ability. And then sometimes you get a little lucky, and I think that comes with success. You do everything you can do, and then some things kind of fall together that you couldn't have any control over. And the success of our sports teams, no control of ours. Having LeBron James come to your city is no control of ours, but it's been really an extraordinarily big help for us in getting Cleveland's name out there. All right, so we can go on from there too, and skip my notes there again too. And then our dining scene. So get out downtown, have a nice time, go out to the lake, the museums, what have you, Playhouse Square, but make sure you get to a restaurant. We have one of the best dining scenes in the country. Time Magazine recently named it the 7th best dining scene. You want to get to Michael Simon's restaurant, Jonathan Sawyer's Greenhouse Tavern. There's a number of really well-known celebrity chefs even in Cleveland. Zach Ruel's another local restaurateur, has got a lot of great places. This is a whole nother hour we could spend talking. But we've got everything from really highbrow, fancy, nice restaurants, Blue Point Grill, Pier W, Trentina, to places where you just like totally be yourself. The Happy Dog, if you've ever heard of the Happy Dog, it's on Detroit Shoreway neighborhood, and you can go there and they give you a little checklist, and you can check off whatever you want on your hot dog. And that's not just ketchup and mustard, that's like Fruit Loops, SpaghettiOs, fried egg, all right? It's a lot of fun. It's also a hub of the local music scene too. So 117 different ethnicities represented throughout our area too, as far as the dining scene. And we really, really try to bring our visitors to town to get them to these authentically Cleveland places. That's part of what makes the Cleveland experience. If you come to Cleveland and eat at TGI Fridays, we really haven't done our job. So we want to get people out to, B-Spots, Mabel's. There's a new place called Marble Room on Euclid Avenue. Beautiful, beautiful space in the old National City Bank lobby. And it's a massive lobby, if you'd ever been in the bank before. And it's incredible how intimate they've made that space when you go in there and you sit down. It's beautiful, beautiful restaurant. So, like I said, I could get carried away talking about that. I encourage you to, if you want, you'll get my contact information from George or somebody, and you can always request a dining guide from me, and we'll have that sent out to you too, so you can just check out all the great restaurants. Spend your summer eating your way through Cleveland. All right, so moving on from there. We also have a big craft brew scene. I should mention that too. USA Today even named it the best craft brew scene in America recently. So a lot of that's focused in the Ohio City area, but it's definitely expanded well beyond that. East side, west side, the suburbs, more brewing companies that I could name, but there's a whole lot of them. We're putting together a brew pass too through Destination Cleveland, where you can kind of get a list of all of them and go and visit each one. And I think there's some kind of special beer stein you get if you visited a certain number or even all of them. So again, more information I can get to you, follow up, but really exciting brew scene. Then festivals and events. So in particular, there's always things going on in Cleveland throughout the summer, and even well beyond that into the late summer, early fall, Thanksgiving, Christmas. We really don't slow down there until about January, February, March, and then things start to pick up again around May and into the summer here. So if you go to the next one, this is actually a picture of Edgewater Live. I should mention that real quick. These are just a few that I wanted to feature for you today. We don't have a complete list, and there's so many different things. There's so many different ethnic festivals that take place throughout the summer, and I can only direct you toward all of them, and to look up which one in particular you're interested in. There's the Tremont Greek Fest, there's the Feast of Assumption in Little Italy, there's an Irish Fest, there's so many different for you to check out. But then Edgewater Live, I talked about, Wheat Over Wednesdays. There's a new event this summer, and this is a really cool event that, we really haven't had anything of this kind in Cleveland, but it's called the Front Triennial. It's an art exhibit. exhibition that will take place over 2.5 months. It starts in the middle of July and runs through September. And it will have art exhibits that have been installed throughout the city. It has an urban focus. And there will be maps distributed, there will be certain special events, there'll be certain places at the art museums where they have a collection of different exhibits. They brought in artists, national, local, international, to come here to Cleveland to live life in Cleveland, to make their observations and create art that is specifically for this event and for our city. So it's an extraordinary event. Only so many cities around the world have them. It's triennial, it's meant to be held every 3rd year. This will be the first one. I was talking with George this morning and just happy to hear that they've done a great job of getting the word out to a lot of people, so hopefully some of you have heard of it already. But if not, you want to look it up, check it out. This is their first year. I've been in a few meetings and there's some things that are still in discussion, whether they might have some kind of tour that they do or what have you. So watch for that as it develops, but I do think they've got a lot of great things going that this will be an extraordinary event for Cleveland. That hopefully will be going long into the future and bring people to. Events like this bring in a lot of people from around the world, around the country, who are very interested in art. They tend to be more affluent and they'll spend a lot more money, so that's good for the community as well. So we're really excited to be hosting the front this summer. Parade the Circle is the big event, University Circle, every summer that they have, bring all the art and culture community together. You know, you have Wait Oval Wednesday. This is even bigger and a full day. An even weekend event. Jazz Fest takes place in the Playhouse Square area, a lot of fun. Burning River Fest, we mentioned the craft brew scene, so that'll take place, and that takes place with the old Coast Guard station house that's out on the lake near Wendy Park in Edgewater. This is another space that was run down, dilapidated. The Cleveland Metro Parks took that over, they restored it, so it's a really neat space for an event like this festival. So we'll look forward to that again this summer. Cleveland National Air Show kind of wraps up our summer season every year. Brings in people from all over. It's really exciting. Neo Cycle is an event that we've put on here locally. It's been very successful, large urban cycling fest. It takes place in September. It features a really cool signature event of a night ride across the Cleveland Memorial Shoreway. And they shut down the Shoreway for the night. People put all kinds of cool glow lights on their bikes and everything else and get to ride along the shore. So if you've ever driven on that stretch, and you know, it's really tough because it's very beautiful and you want to keep your eyes on the road. And Shoreway is really narrow, so it's not a space where you really want to be like looking around a lot. This is an opportunity to take it all in on your bike, take your time, and really enjoy it. So you want to check out Neo Cycle if you're interested. And then if we go to the next slide, I just want to touch on, so I'm so glad to hear that you'll be hearing from somebody from the National Park. A lot of people don't know we have a national park in our backyard right here in Cleveland, and this is a national park on the same par with Yosemite, Yellowstone, you know, the major national parks across the country. We have right here in Cuyahoga Valley, and it also features the Cuyahoga Valley Scenic Railroad, which is a great way to experience the park, ride a rail. I mean, we don't get to ride trains very much, so that's a unique experience. Of course, they do things like the Polar Express. You can also, they have a program where you can bike part of the trails and then hop on the train for $5 and it takes you back to the station where you started from, or vice versa. So over 125 miles of hiking trails, and the park is set up to preserve the natural area along 22 miles of the Cuyahoga River. So often we think of the Cuyahoga River as being part of Cleveland, and of course the history that goes with that. But obviously the Cuyahoga River expands way beyond south of Cleveland, and there's a lot of opportunity to go down there and experience it in a very natural way, and not so much the urban way that those of us downtown do. All right, so you'll hear more about that, and we can go ahead and move on here. So make sure we're doing okay with time. So one other thing I wanted to feature for you, this might be something that, you know, when I talk about things you're not so familiar with, a lot of our neighborhoods around the Cleveland area have really seen a lot of development and renaissance over the last even 5 years, maybe some starting back as far as 10 years ago, but you've seen it all kind of come to fruition now recently. And a strong trend in travel and tourism is having that really unique experience in a particular city and getting past some of those major attractions that I told you about and have the experience that the locals have. And we have that to feature in spades here out in our neighborhoods around Cleveland. So if James doesn't mind scrolling through the next few here, Ohio City kind of leads the way there with the West Side Market. The West Side Market's open Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday now, so it's only closed 2 days a week. A really great old school experience, over 100 years old there, all kinds of goods to get. You don't necessarily have to be going in to get ingredients or food or anything like that. You can just get a coffee and a bagel, walk around, fresh flowers, fresh fruit, vegetables, everything you need. A lot of times in the summer they do other things in the plaza there out front. And then the Ohio City neighborhood's really great now too, with a lot of cool little restaurants and shops and boutiques. Mitchell's Ice Cream is headquartered in Ohio City. You can go in there and they have a platform and just kind of look over their production facility where they're actually making the ice cream. It's a lot of fun. I think if there was a top ice cream city in the country, Cleveland would have to be in the top 2 or 3, if not the top. We have all kinds of great ice cream to offer here. Ohio City Burrito, the brewing companies, Market Garden, Great Lakes are all housed there in Ohio City. Town Hall, I think one of the best authentically Cleveland restaurants to offer too. So checking out Ohio City is high on the list. Going on though too, we have, I believe, University Circle, all the great cultural institutions beyond the Museum of Art. You have the Museum of Contemporary Art, the Natural History Museum, the Botanical Gardens. Not far from University Circle now is the Children's Museum, which was built into one of the old historic Millionaires Row mansions. And so that's open now, and you can take the kids or grandkids to check that out. And moving on to the Detroit Shoreway. So this is one in particular I wanted to talk about. This is a neighborhood that was really run down and kind of left for dead, and not a great place. I remember stopping in a little place there when I was in college, and it wasn't someplace that I felt real comfortable in at the time. But this has been, there's been a lot of philanthropy, a lot of investment in the area. Some new restaurants have opened. They took an old Capitol Theater and turned it into a first-run movie theater. There's a little place there called the Sweet Moses Chocolate Fountain, where you get ice cream, and they even sell chocolate terminal towers there. It's really cool. Some of the other great restaurants, Happy Dog is over there. XYZ that you see in the picture. And then what I really like about this too is that this is walking distance there to Edgewater Park that I've been talking about. And that's why I think this neighborhood is really so essential to the Cleveland experience. It's right across the Detroit Superior Bridge, and it's walking distance to that our premier beach area, to the downtown area. So you can stop up here, park, go down to the beach, walk back up the pedestrian tunnel, and have dinner or a drink in the Detroit Shoreway area. A lot of high-end condos and apartments going in this area too. It's really interesting how it's developing. So we have that to feature here, and also the 78th Street Studios, which are the old American Greetings studios. American Greetings headquartered here in the Cleveland area for a long time, and over in Westlake now. But they once had their creative studios there in the Detroit Shoreway neighborhood. So they've got this old building, still has some of their signage, and some of our great premier Cleveland artists have their studios set up there. And they have an event there, I think on the third Friday of each month, that you can go and check out their works, their galleries. They set up food, and it's a really nice event as well. All right, in Tremont, I think it's the last one I'll talk about, and we'll kind of wrap things up with a few things that are new and get to any questions. But Tremont's another one of those great neighborhoods with restaurants, boutique galleries, a little bit more spread out, so it's definitely one for the explorer who wants to walk around and just kind of enjoy a leisurely afternoon and checking out all that Tremont has to offer. One of their highlights, though, of course, is A Christmas Story House. A movie that came out in the early 80s, has developed a strong following and gives Cleveland kind of a unique kitschy identity with the leg lamps and all that go along with that. And another one of those places that brings people in. They've got a map there of the entire world, and they put pins in where people have visited from, and those pins cover the entire world. It's really remarkable to see. So that's another interesting draw, and they do a great job there with the experience as well. I believe I saw the house before I even saw the movie, and still was really impressed with, they just told me so much history, why they come to the city of Cleveland, and where they did different things. And they've got a gift shop there. It's extraordinary. They've got a little museum, so they've done a really, really great job over there. All right, so with that, just quickly mentioning over $3 billion in visitor-related infrastructure and development. Also benefits our local community. You see that building there is on the edge of the 9th Street Pier beyond the Rock Hall, so there is a restaurant there now. I think there used to be a place called Captain Frank's. Anybody can tell that, right? Okay, so there hasn't been anything really close to the Rock Hall in a long time as far as a restaurant or any place to eat. They've got a great new cafe in the Rock Hall, I should mention, but if you go just a little bit beyond that, there's a place called Nuevo, modern Mexican restaurant, glassed-in walls, 2 floors, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful view. You've been, and yeah, really extraordinary place. So I wanted to mention that because we talk a lot about the lakefront, development of the lakefront, opportunities to eat on the lakefront are kind of few and far between. So Pier W and Nuevo, they'll really give you that opportunity. So, again, if we could just go through these next few, and I think I've got to wrap up in a few minutes, but I want to mention the Flats East Bank development. Flats of old are gone, and people still talk about them, but they are not what they used to be. Now we have a little bit more of a mixed-use development. Beautiful, beautiful building here, residences on top, restaurants and bars along the bottom, a quarter-mile long boardwalk. Much more of a, by day, family-friendly, even in the evening, you take your family to some of the restaurants, and not quite the party, like crazy atmosphere that was going on there in the late 90s. And they hope to do more to expand on this. Another space that's unlike anything I've ever seen in Cleveland before, just very, very warm and inviting. They've done a beautiful job with the architecture and the setting. There's a restaurant off the left here called Alley Cat by Zach Burrell. Really nice place, right out on the river. Another one over here to the right that you can't see called Coastal Taco, a little bit more let your hair down, casual place. All right, and then I can't remember, it's 6, 7, 8 new hotels that have gone in downtown, including this new Hilton that attaches to our convention center. So this is our main convention center hotel. What I really like about this is that little alcove up there at the top. I know it's still under construction here, but it's the best way for me to show you. That is a little bar up there. It's called Bar 32. Opens at 5 o'clock every day. And probably one of the best views of Cleveland you will ever get. And it looks out towards the North Shore there, and the stadium, the Rock Hall, and the lake. It's gorgeous. Go up there in the summer. It doesn't cost anything to go up there or go in. The drinks are expensive. They do have appetizers, but it's well worth it. And they have a little patio, so you can actually go outside, take a beautiful picture. I'm really glad you did. And then Public Square has been redone. In 2016, it opened, and a really, really beautiful space that is much better than even it looks in pictures to actually be there. It's transformed the space of downtown in a way that was completely unexpected. I know it was their intention, but to actually see it happen has been really impressive to me. So you have these fountains here. People bring their kids down there, families, even on weekends when there's not a whole lot going on downtown. I see people who have brought their kids down to play in these fountains in the summer. A little restaurant here, there's a circular area you'll see. A place called Rebel by the same folks who do Town Hall. The Soldiers and Sailors Monument, Civil War Monument, been there for 150, nearly 200 years now. And you can actually go inside there and walk around. They have artifacts and exhibits free as well. And they unified the square. They took out the crossroad here, and only buses go through on Superior. And so it makes a much more park-like atmosphere. They do a lot of activities. They have musicians out there in the summer playing on the plaza area. So another area, when you're downtown, it's free. Go down, take it in, have that experience, and enjoy the atmosphere of summer in Cleveland. A few more things here. The Cleveland Metro Park Zoo has made a lot of great strides in the last few years in new exhibits. One of my favorite is this one where you stand up on a platform and you can feed a giraffe. The giraffe puts his head right over there. The only thing you pay for are the leaves. Otherwise, you just walk up with everybody else, and it's neat. It's a small thing, but it's one of those great experiences that you can have. Cleveland Museum of Natural History has a small petting zoo, and there's some great walkways over there. I mentioned the Rock Hall. Yours Truly, very popular suburban restaurant, now has a location downtown, the old Howley Brothers building. We do a lot of repurposing of these old buildings and try to retain some of their heritage and history. So you can see how they've worked in. They didn't get rid of the Howley Brothers Company sign inside. They left that on the wall. A very urban design, but a great place for the family to go and eat. That's in the Playhouse Square area there in the old Howley Brothers building. Do the other new projects, things I've mentioned, just to wrap up. This is a residence going up on Euclid Avenue across from our offices. It's called the Beacon. They're working on that now. Margaritaville opened. The Racino had a renovation. But this is the beach house at Edgewater Park I mentioned. And a beautiful architectural design. A beach house for a city park could just be a square block and, have some change rooms or whatever. This has a beautiful outdoor bar on the top, a little fireplace up there. They've got concessions along the bottom, changing rooms. There's a walkway. It's a suspended walkway that goes back over to the, get you back over to the shoreway and the land over there. Underneath they have like porch swings, benches that you can swing on that they put up. So all kinds of little things they've added to make that experience great for visitors and locals alike. So make sure, again, I'd say Edgewater Park should be high on your list of destinations this summer. And last, but not least are the Cleveland script signs that have been posted throughout the area. So there are 4 of these, and Destination Cleveland actually had these installed with the idea that people want to take pictures and share them with the world. You know, social media is such an opportunity for us to get things out to people. You know, we rely on word of mouth. Word of mouth is your strongest driver of actual visitation when you hear from somebody you trust. So there's so much more avenues for that now through Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, and all these different things. You take a picture of that, you put it on your Facebook, and maybe your 300 friends or so see that. Who wouldn't want to visit Cleveland when they see that picture, right? And we didn't forget to tell them where they were. It's very clear. All right, so that's right there beyond the Rock Hall. There's another one at Edgewater Park. The upper part of Edgewater Park creates a beautiful scenic view looking from the west side to the east side of the city. There's one on Tremont Road, Abbey Overlook. Not Tremont Road, but the Abbey Overlook along Abbey Avenue. And that looks a little bit from the south towards the north of the city. Another great view. And then there's one out at Euclid Beach Park. So a lot of people have fond memories of Euclid Beach. The carousel these days is housed at the Cleveland History Center in University Circle. And Metro Parks recently acquired Euclid Beach, and part of their improvement there was to put one of the script signs. So you have a view looking from the east side to the west. So check those out. We have people go out and try to get a picture in front of all of them. I stopped at one yesterday. It was a cloudy morning. I stopped at the Edgewater one just to kind of check on the sign, make sure it didn't need cleaned or anything like that. And there were people there. And I think 2 couples were locals and one was from out of town. And they come to make sure to get their picture there. So constant visitation. I've seen them turn up on calendars, Christmas cards, advertisements all over the place. But you know, really done a great job of building local pride and then getting our name out there to others too. All right. So.
Great presentation.
Thank you.
Time for questions.
I do have time. I crammed a lot in there very quickly.
I was just going to start with 2 comments. One is Sokolowski's in front of it. You get one of the best views of Cleveland, looking out over the river and everything. And then also, in future may also mention downtown, there's a grocery store that is in a magnificent architectural building that also offers prepared foods, wine, and beer by the glass. So it's
You know, and I would say,
I didn't say where I worked.
I take great pride in Heinz and mention it often. Actually, I do a training presentation for local hospitality and tourism staff, and Heinz is one of the major slides in there. And I always leave with saying, you know, you're going to tell people that they have to see the grocery store, and they're going to say, what? You know, and I say, you know, you want to find a way to exceed people's expectations. Tell them they have to see the grocery store downtown. Get them in there to Heinz, and you walk in, and I've never seen anybody not pull out their phone and, you know, stand there and try to take a picture as soon as they want. It's gorgeous, and one of the best things I think to see in Cleveland for sure. And then they go home, and they tell their friends, yeah, we had a good time at the Rock Hall, and Cleveland was cool, but you should have seen the grocery store. So, really, really beautiful space.
But anyway, on that note, just a question that some of the areas you mentioned, like Ohio City, you can go there and walk around and see a lot of different things. It's interesting, it feels like downtown, outside of 4th Street and sort of that area of Euclid, there's not a lot of retail that someone could just go downtown, walk around and participate in.
Well, you know, there's 3 major areas of restaurants, and then there's Playhouse Square, there's East 4th Street, there's the Warehouse District where the Flats East Bank. But if you talk about retail, you know, I'm sure you're aware it's changed so much in the last 10 to 15 years with the advent of online shopping. You know, the downtowns had already deteriorated as far as retail went. So here's what I can tell you. I would say downtown retail is kind of a mixed bag. There is a great space called the 5th Street Arcades that feature a lot of local galleries, boutique type little shops, very unique to Cleveland, vintage goods, these kinds of things. Kind of hipsterish, you know, and things that even are hard to find online. So I think they've got a lot of great things to offer in there. We have our team shops, we have the Cleveland Clothing Company. There's really only a few shops left in Tower City that are really, you know, what you would expect for a mall experience. So what we hear from developers is that they like to see 20,000 people living in a nucleus of a downtown area before they're going to come in with even more retail. And right now it's around, it mirrors our visitor stats, interesting, where we have 18 million visitors. I think that stat for downtown Residents is somewhere in the 15 to 18,000 right now too, with more opportunities being built every day, and their goal to be at 20,000 by 2020 as well. So we'll see what happens with that. I think that, you know, you've seen Heinen's go in, and Geiger Sporting Goods and some other places have gone in, I think with the hope and the intention that this is going to continue to grow and continue to see development. There's no promises. Another question I get a lot is, hey, we had kind of a boom there in the late 90s, and then things kind of leveled off, and what's going to be different this time? And there's never any promises, but there's definitely the knowledge of that, and a lot of great leadership, and a lot of people thinking, how do we avoid that same fate and continue to have growth? And from our perspective, having that convention center downtown is really a game changer that should sustain growth as far as visitation goes and bringing people to our downtown area, again, in that 1,000 people, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people at a time, that really helps, sustain a lot of downtown, at least restaurants and hotels. But then as we get more residents too, we have even more to offer.
I'd just like to mention one thing coming up for anybody who'd be interested in it, but there's a major event coming up next weekend at Stan Hewitt, and it is the largest and oldest car show in the country, continuously operated at Stan Hewitt. There'll be 400 cars there. And if you have any chance of bringing your children or grandchildren, it's a great opportunity to see not only a beautiful facility of Stan Hewitt, but also some really great sights.
One of those cars is out in the parking lot.
He has his antique car out in the parking lot.
Hey Eric, I really loved your presentation, and I was with Experience. I'm in the events industry. So last year you had Experience Conference there. So these are meeting planners coming into Cleveland to, it's great when they experience it. And you're doing it again this weekend because I'm going to be at PCMA's event.
That's right.
We're having a hackathon at the HIMSS Innovation Center. But one of your colleagues told me that when you get a meeting planner who actually comes and does a tour of the city, your close rate is phenomenal. So once they see the city, I think he told me like 75% of them choose to book.
Yeah. And that goes back to that perception issue. And so, half the battle, or even more than half the battle, is actually getting people here. And that so often changes their idea and their perceptions. We sort of benefit from these lower expectations, because then people come and they're just like so blown away by what they see. And so we're really fortunate that. But yeah, it's just huge to actually get people here. And that's why we're also optimistic, because we do see that statistic and we think, okay, great. Now let's just get more people here, right? Because that'll continue to grow that.
Yeah, great presentation.
Thanks.
I'm curious, as you were talking about the Cleveland script, which I think is fantastic. How did you come up with that?
So that is a collaboration between our marketing team and a design firm. One of the leading design firms, destination marketing design firms in the world. They're called MGMY. And they are actually out of Kansas City, but this is what they do, and they have worked with international destinations throughout the world. So when we were really trying to build Cleveland and start toward this goal of making Cleveland a visitor destination, we wanted to work with the absolute best. And so they all work together with our team and their team, and the idea here too, it might look a little bit familiar. It's reminiscent of some of our old sporting logos. It's not really any one in particular, but it kind of calls on all of them, and I think that's where the origin of it came from. It was meant to be simple, clear, memorable. I think we're really fortunate that it just is very, very visually attractive, and people really catch on. They like having that across their shirt. So, you have Cleveland, people loving that, but then you have a great design like that too. And one of the things we've done is, we have a trademark right on it, but we want it to be the community. So if people create art or create their own shirt with that Cleveland logo, we allow for that. We want people to use it. We want people to promote Cleveland. That's what it's there for. And so really to make it an organic community effort and property, if you will. As long as nobody's using it inappropriately, we're fine with it. All right.
Thank you.
Great.
I'm a pro Cleveland person. My daughters and I hunted all over just to get a shirt that said "Believe Land" instead of Cleveland. Well, all over Cleveland, and I do have Hamilton tickets. Yeah. Wrapping up today, I want to thank Phil Warburton and Matt LaFountain for being our greeters. Audio-visual crew, Dan Rich, Tom Page, Tom Tobin, James Field, and Ron Barnhouse. And today's Rotobuck, the drawing is worth $12. Jackpot's $148. Yes. Cross ticket, please, sir. Vicky. Okay. The last four numbers are 6279. Woo! Excellent. They like to make you have to stretch here.
Any color or
Black. You want the black one?
I'm sorry.
No.
Hang on one second.
No, no, no. And instead of a quote today, my quote is "Go Cavs." Thank you for coming and enjoy the week.